So we've created our Firebase function now and we've deployed it to Firebase. So it's there, ready and waiting to be used. So what I'd like to do is use this function or call it from our signup component, because this is where, and by the way, this is in the GeoNinjas application we created in the last chapter. This is where inside this component, we manually check the database for an alias or slug to see if it already exists, to see if it's unique. So we did that by first of all grabbing the alias that a user enters, slugifying it and storing it on this .slug right here. Then we said let's get a reference to the database, the users collection and this document using the slug we just created. Then we tried to get that document and we said if that document exists, then give them this feedback. This alias already exists, because that means it's not unique, right? If it exists. So instead of doing all of this manual lookup to the database, instead, I'd like to call our Firebase function to do that for us, then return the result. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, first of all, we no longer need this because we're not manually checking the database ourselves. So let's remove all this and create a different variable instead. So I'm going to call this variable check alias, and I'm going to set it equal to firebase.functions. And in order to use this, we need to import the functions library. So if you go up here, where we've got the rest of the imports, just say import functions from, and it's firebase/functions. Okay, so if we scroll back down, then we can say check alias equals firebase.functions.https callable, to say we want to now call a callable function, and the name of that function that we want to call is check alias. Remember, that is the name that we gave this function right here. So we're calling that function now. All right, so this right here needs to be manually called. At the minute, we're just storing this inside this thing right here. So we have to invoke this. And to do that, all we say is check alias with parentheses. Okay, so that is now going to call this function. Now, remember, inside the function right here, we receive a data object. And on that data object, we're expecting a slug. So we need to now send an object with a property of slug with this request. So let us do that. Inside here, we can pass through that data object and a property called slug, which will be equal to this.slug, what we have stored now up here, all right, after we slugified the alias. So we're sending that now to this request. Now this is asynchronous, it takes some time to do, return to promise, therefore we can tack on .then, and inside the .then method we can have a callback function which takes the result of the call. So whatever the function right here returns to us, all right? So we're grabbing that on the result. So what we'll do is we'll just log this to the console. We'll say console.log and it's going to be the result. Okay, so let's also get rid of this thing. We don't need this anymore. We can get rid of that and we can scoot this up like so, because we're performing all of this now in the callback function right here. Okay, so I'm also going to comment out a lot of this stuff right here so it doesn't interfere. So do that and save it. So all we're doing now is we're calling this check alias function, and then when it's done, we're going to take that result that it sends us and we're logging it to the console, right? And that result should be this thing right here. So let's give this a whirl. We can run this locally. We don't have to deploy it, and we can call it locally for now to see if it works. So let's save it and come over here. I'm going to enter in an email. I'll just say Ryu at the NetNinja, password test1234, and alias is Ryu. Now this is not unique. We already have a user with this alias. So let's see what we receive back. We get a data object first of all, and that data object contains this object with this property, unique is false. So we're saying here, look, this alias is not unique, right? So let's try a different alias. Let's say Yoshi. Well, we know that's not unique. So now we get data And again, unique is false. Okay, let's try one that is unique. Mario, sign up. And if we open this, now we can see unique is true. Awesome. So now we're successfully checking in our Firebase function if an alias is unique. And it's all working here on the front end. All right, so let's uncomment all of this now, because most of this is going to remain the same. The only difference is here, because we're not saying now if doc exists, because we don't have that as a result anymore. Now we want to say if results dot data to get the data property dot unique. So if this is true, right, then it means it's unique. So what we want to do is place an exclamation mark in front of it, because if it's not unique, then we're giving this feedback. All right, so if it is unique, then the else statement will fire and we'll still create that user as normal. All right, so let's save this and give it a whirl. So I'm going to try to create a new user, but I'm going to use the same alias. All right, so I'll say Mario at thenetninja.co.uk and the password test1234, and this is going to be Yoshi. All right, so let's try and sign up first of all. And it says this alias already exists. Awesome, so that's working. But if I type in now Mario and try to sign up, then this alias is free to use. Now we do get an error saying ref is not defined. So let's see what's going on over there. And that's because we use ref right here and we deleted it further up here when we replaced it with check alias. So let's just replace this with the code we do need. We need to say db.collection and we want the users collection like so. And then we want a certain document. The document we want is this.slug. That's what we're using to create that ID. And then we're setting something. So the rest of this should be okay here now. So let's save this and give this one more try. Okay, so again, I'm going to say Mario at the NetNinja, test1234, and Mario for the alias as well. Sign up. And okay, this email is already in use. So let's try Mario2 and sign up again. And now it all works. Perfect. So there we go. We've created a callable function and we've called that now from our view application.